Just telling Keith how fit he looks today. Gee, you've woken up well. Did you back a winner yesterday?
I did show a slight profit yesterday, Bruce, but I spent last night looking back over the year that was. It was an intriguing and exciting year in racing.
We'll get your #1 race in just a moment, as we'll get Max's #1 race. How are you going up there, Max?
Terrific. He looks fit. So does Buster.
Hey, Max,
I like the Humpty Dumpty intro, you egghead, Max.
Max, how did you enjoy the year?
I thought it was one of the vintage years. As I've already said, I think the Melbourne Cup Carnival was one of the best, if not the best, I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to argue with that. Keith, you've picked out the Futurity Stakes, Scalacci's emotional win at Caulfield. It was a great field this day with Mahogany and also Jern.
Right, the two horses of the year for the past 2 years. Mahogany was coming off a Lightning Stakes win and Jern coming off a win in the Orr Stakes. You would have thought that one of the two horses of the year would win this race, but it was to be Scalacci's last win at Group 1 level. The sprinters don't get the limelight that the middle distance horses and the stayers get, but this day belonged to Scalacci. He's a grey, he's a whiter shade of grey now, as we can see on screen, and he is very much the public favourite, and they roared him home this day.
Back towards the tail end with Pride of Rancho 3 deep on his outside. At the railway side they go, and Scalacci 3/4 in front of Mahogany, never undercharged third the outside, and Snap with a lovely trail fourth the fence. There followed Spanish Mix, Pride of Rancho. Back behind them Soho Square, Jern is last of all, spotting the leader about 6 lengths. Running to the 600, it's Scalacci bowling along in front. Mahogany though edging a little closer, he's within 3/4 of his stablemate, never undercharged, trap 3 wide, 1 Snap. Then came Spanish Mix, Pride of Rancho feeling the pressure from Soho Square. Jern last of all got a little check off the heels of one in front there. Up to the turn, Mahogany up level now with Scalacci around the turn, never undercharged behind them. Then Spanish Mix and Snap and Jern spotting Mahogany 5. At the top of the straight now, Dittman goes for Mahogany. Scalacci sticks on very gamely. It's Mahogany about a neck in front. Scalacci's fighting back. Scalacci again with his head in front of Mahogany. Wider out, then Spanish Mix and Jern. It's Scalacci in front of Mahogany. Jern motoring, but Scalacci's won it again. Scalacci's won it. I think Jern got second from Mahogany in a photo.
Yes, for the second consecutive year. It must say, year in, year out, it's one of my favourite races, the Futurity. You get a wonderful mix between sprinters and staying horses that are fresh for that event.
Yes, you sure do, Bruce. The likes of Manikato and Co. has been won by some of our great horses of both experts at both distances, but that was special. There were so many great races, it was so hard to pick one that stood out, but I won't forget that one.
Max, you enjoy that one with Scalacci? You probably didn't see as much of him as us. I mean, he won a Galaxy, didn't he, when he completed a Triple Crown here as a 3-year-old?
No, Scalacci was one of my favourite horses because he was a great horse. He showed it there. What makes a great racing year? Great horses, and we've been very privileged to have so many good horses this year.
One of them, I think, will get even better next year is the one you picked, Max. It's arguably, well, it is the Championship of Australia, the Cox Plate. And this was a really outstanding win, wasn't it, by Octagonal, because he did a bit of work, and there's one moment, Max, at about the 600 or 500 where he's almost squeezed out, and he shows the courage that top racehorses must have by bursting through and accelerating to win.
Yes, I think too, Bruce, that what makes this such a great race is, again, is the makeup of the field. They're all there. There, of course, is Mahogany. And now, what a great year it has been for Mahogany. And it's not as if it was a winning year. You saw him in a sprint, performing very, very creditably against Scalacci a few minutes ago. And here he is, running in the Cox Plate, the Weight for Age Championship of Australasia, and doing so well, but not well enough to beat a very talented 3-year-old.
Momentarily, Dane win on the fence with nowhere to go, and then Mr. Marconi, Octagonal starting a move. He'll have to go very deep. Jern wide out on the track in the blue and white colours. Seascape with nowhere to go, followed by Danarani, Pakaraka Star and Star Dancer. Look at them pack up as they come to the turn. Dane Win got knocked right out of the race. He's back near last on the corner. Station Hand takes the lead. Here's one of the 3-year-olds, Octagonal. Mahogany on the fence as they turn for home. Straightening up Octagonal. Jern's the one to have the last shot at him. Octagonal is just the leader. Mahogany coming again on the inside. Octagonal and Mahogany. Octagonal, Mahogany are coming to the line locked together. It's a fantastic finish. Octagonal. Octagonal wins the Cox Plate about a half neck to Mahogany, who was gallant in defeat.
I think the other thing too, Max, in that case is that history shows you've got to be very, very good to win as a 3-year-old. We'd had Red Anchor win it in 1984, wasn't it, I think?
Approximately.
So 11 years difference. So they don't win it every day, do they?
No, and surely you get a tingle when you see that race, even though you may not have backed Octagonal, because Mahogany is an outstanding racehorse. He was given a superb chance by Greg Hall, perhaps one of the great rides of the year, yet on the day Octagonal was just too good, just too courageous.
OK, to both of you, a preference for Nothing Like a Dane or Octagonal as we look to the future, Keith?
Octagonal up to 2,000 metres, Nothing Like a Dane beyond, and I think that's pretty clear-cut in my mind.
Max?
Well, that was said before by Lee Friedman. I can't argue with it, but the best performance by a 3-year-old this year was Octagonal winning the Cox Plate.
Well, I've picked one that isn't a Group 1, but it was very emotional. Wayne Wilson said that was the best day's racing ever in Queensland, and this just topped it off. It was the PJ O'Shea Stakes. It was an old favourite of mine. I know I got into a bit of controversy last year when I said I don't think Rough Habit is a champion. I still don't think he's a champion. He's a people's horse. I reckon
You've waited a long time to square off, and Ruffy deserves a square off from you, Bruce.
I think a champion's a horse that starts 6-4 in a Cox Plate and wins by 2. Not a horse that's 50-1, but I love this day. This was my favourite of the year. Watch him come home.
Spiritual Star and Military Supreme heading for the judge now, 400 metres out. Presser has moved up on the outside. A few had chosen. Stay Tuned as a length and a half away third. Then Pindi and Waikikamu Cow. And Rough Habit is coming through the field. They've got 200 metres to go. A Presser is the leader. Here he comes. Here comes Rough Habit, the old Kiwi warhorse. You little beauty. Keep him going, Shane. Rough Habit is racing away to win the O'Shea Stakes. What a win. Rough Habit first. Second, a Presser, and third, Desert Chill. Then Pratara's Bay.
Well, often a great horse and a great race needs a great call, and that one got it from our old mate Wayne Wilson. It was one of his best
of the year. One of his best. It was a beauty.
Look, he's been a remarkable horse, and sometimes a horse comes along that really captures the public's imagination, and this horse has, and that's his swan song.
Well, in Brisbane, they've got bars at Eagle Farm named after him. They've named a race after him, and he's still really going. I don't remember that happening before with any racehorse.
No, it's terrific. What about the trainers? Gay Waterhouse won 8 Group 1s in 1995, and Lee Friedman 6 and Johnny Hawkes 4. Lee was out of action, but in the time he was out of action, there were very few Group 1s happening. Who did you give it to, Gay or Lee?
I thought Gay was the most refreshing thing to happen to racing in total for the year, and therefore, if that was the category of voting, she'd get my nod. Lee's performance was outstanding. We can't overlook that the Hayes dynasty retained premierships in 2 states, so they're right at the top still. We've got some great training ranks, changing ranks.
And jockeys Oliver and Di both won 6 Group 1s?
Yeah, I think Damien's the jockey of the year.
Max?
No, I think Lee Friedman is the trainer of the year. I think winning the Caulfield Melbourne Cups double, winning the Golden Slipper, gave him an edge. I think the calamity of the year was the time he had to serve over that bit of ridiculousness down there. I think the jockey of the year was undoubtedly Darren Beedman. Darren Beedman...
1 Group 1, Max. 1 Group 1.
Yes,
I know he broke Billy Cook's record.
Now, I think that's the overwhelming factor, and he did it riding a lot of average horses. I think you've got to look to the jockey of the year, the jockey that has ridden best for so many months on so many mounts. Oliver, great. I've always said that. But for the year, I think Beedman gets the pat. And
Keith, they started a race early in Melbourne yesterday. What was that all about?
They started the first leg of the quaddie more than 2 minutes early. It was human error. The starter, Paul Ahern, let them go too early. He has apologised. Look, I think it should end there. His embarrassment is punishment enough. It could happen to anyone. Gerald Ryan claimed that the early start cost him a win with Colbernant, because he said he had Colbernant trained to the minute, Bruce.
That's got to be one of the quotes of the year. Well, to both of you, as you know, I'm not hosting Sportsworld next year. It's been an absolute treat to work with you over the last 6 years, and I'll be certainly in touch. Max, you owe me a couple of champagnes, and Keithy, I'll catch up with you for lunch very shortly.
Okay, we'll stay in touch wherever we are.
That's for sure. Thanks, Max, for your contribution, mate.
Have a happy Christmas.
Same, Max.
And Max, Keith beat you on points over 15, but it was close. Gee, it was a long fight, wasn't it?
He wouldn't go 15.
Let him have the last say. See you, boys. After the break, the best news stories of the year.
Protect yourself at all times. Expect a tough, clean fight.
Monica! Sellers! Talked early in the first half. What he brings. Jordan, hard to the hoop. The reverse from Michael around the feet.
A birthday.
15 to 28. Again, just check your local guides for day and night telecasts of the Ford Australian Open. Yes, you're right. It's the final sports war for me and also for our Melbourne crew. The program will be hosted and also produced out of Sydney next year, and we'll be supporting them all the way. Look, it's been a great adventure. I've worked with some tremendous people. Our producers, Brad Smith, Ian Hurst, who did it for so long, and Brendan Keenan. All the update people, Brooke, Kim, Kate and Dixie, and all the other people here, and I think all the friendships I've made. As I said, it's been a tremendous adventure. I've enjoyed every day. I know a lot more now than I did 6 years ago, and thank you for your support, and I'll be supporting the program 100% next year. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm George Foreman, coming up on Sports World.
I know you're pretty keen on Carl. You've said a few things about Carl over the years, but he is arrogant, there's no question about that, but he's also very, very good.
Well, I think when you're as good as Carl, you can afford to be arrogant, but at the same time, you know, we're all human, and I think he's sort of like the Michael Jackson of athletics. He's on a different level for us, what he thinks he is.
Now I love it because everybody can say Pelé. It's easy. Any English say Pelé. Now I love it, but at the beginning I didn't like it too much.
I don't want to preempt anything, but if you do have children, when you do, they're going to be very well bred, aren't they? I hope so.
This has been a 7 Sports production.